Well, hello, y'all. Happy Tuesday night. Oh my God. Okay, I'm literally like a day and a half late. Not quite a dollar short because the girl, I keep pursuing the coin, so that can't happen. But nonetheless, I am here. Thank you for joining your girl, Mrs. D Green. And you know what we are here to talk about, okay? The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 10, Episode 7. And it was a good episode. I liked it. I watched it twice, and I did not think I was going to have as many pages of notes that I ended up having. So it was a lot more juicier once I broke everything down. So I have 5 pages. Actually, two of them are front and back, and one is just one page. So. But yeah, like I said, it was a pretty good episode. They ushered in my girl Monique Mayweather Samuels. Man, I have reason why I'm late on this video. I have some good progress to share. Now, if any of you follow me religiously and you watch any of my videos, you know that your girl is multifaceted. So not only am I an HR professional, I'm also a real estate investor. So I call myself, parking some money somewhere and getting into real estate. So I started working with Pad Split, who their headquarters are actually here in Atlanta. And so I have a property in the Hammond Park area, which is not that far from the airport. It's close to East Point. Some people would say it's not the best neighborhood, but the street is pretty quiet. It's not, nothing crazy. Lots of families, older people. I actually talked to some of the neighbors over there, so it's a pretty good neighborhood. But I had a window project pending with Home Depot, right? They finally got everything worked out. Now, this was a contractor that they had to subcontract, of course, because I found out when I linked up with their pro services that they actually outsource to the community. They don't have a lot of in-house workers that do it. And so, given the jurisdiction that the property falls into and the age of the home, this window install project required application for a permit, and whoever was submitting the application was an idiot because they kept getting rejected. And then finally, they did it correctly. But I had to file a complaint with the Better Business Bureau to light a fire under their butt. I can't say quite curse words yet because we're at the 2-minute mark. But once we get to the 5-minute mark, I'll get colorful. But anyway, back to the story. So they took care of the install. Everything was smooth, all is good. So I just got a couple more things I have to do just to make sure everything is good. I have a appointment with a mold specialist because I just want to test the atmosphere, make sure there's no spores in the air because it is an older house and there is moisture. And with the windows not being the best and, the home not being occupied, I just want to rule out anything because I don't want to be a slumlord. And then once I got that taken care of, I can go live with that property. Now, here's the beautiful part of that. It's a single family that began conversion into a duplex. So it's actually 2 units. So I actually have 1 unit that I'm going to pad split. And I was considering making the other unit a long-term rental, but I may even pad split that one. I'm still deciding though. But that's the beauty in owning your own property. You can do whatever the hell you want within reason, of course, because I don't want to be a slumlord. And then once I got that project solidified, I'm going to turn this home into a pad split. And this is 4 bedrooms with 2 baths. So once your girl's got her real estate stuff going, I can get to my luxury apartment in the sky in Midtown. So stay tuned. But yeah, y'all, your girl's been busy with projects, busy with home projects, real estate projects. So I spent 2 days over at that property. Then I got some people coming out to this property to check out some stuff tomorrow. Then I got to go back to the property on Thursday because I'm going to have some door specialists because I want to replace the side door and then install another door. So that way I could convert maybe that living room that's in the single unit that's not going to be pad split. If I decide to convert that into a pad split, they'll have a door for their own private bedroom. So I'll explain that. Just lots of progress. And that's just on my real estate front. Then with work, I'm the person on my team that comes up with the PowerPoints because I'm very creative and I like to be really concise about information. So I had to come up with some PowerPoints for a training that we did. And my boss, he's such a smart, brilliant dude, but sometimes when you have a brilliant boss who has no limits into what he can achieve, that could stress out the worker. So we were working with him, and he's just been dealing with stuff. So we showing him love. We showing him love. Tomorrow's his birthday. So yeah, it's been a pretty eventful last 4 days, and that's why we're getting this review a little late. So I do apologize. Now it has been 5 minutes. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this thing, shall we? All right. So like I said, this is episode 5. I'm sorry, episode 7, season 10. I apologize for the glare, but your girl wears readers because I can't see that well. So I have my notes, and I will be referring to my notes. Okay, so the title of this episode is called Guess Who's Back? For my girl. All right, so 2 small scenes to kick off the episode. You have Kiarna. She's getting a salmon sperm facial. I want to look into that because that sounds interesting. And I'm into that whole med spa treatment at 41. So I want to see what the benefits of that are. Or, yeah, I want to see what the benefit of that is. Sorry for the grammatical error. And then you've got Angel at her house with her husband, Bobby, and they're talking about purchasing a fixer-upper and, you know, making that their homestead in Maryland. So we'll see if that even happens. I don't know if Angel's going to be around, but we'll get to that. Then we get to a scene with Tia. So Tia's on the phone. Her mother FaceTimes her, and she's telling her mother, oh no, her mother's telling her that she has a surprise for her, and she's going to give it to her. And all I was thinking about is, I know I mentioned a couple of recaps ago that I liked their family dynamic, but I don't know. I'll give her grace because the editing for these shows, and I'll talk about that too, can be a little weird. And as much as like production and the network doesn't like to say, oh, you shouldn't blame editing. No, you should, because editing is a man-made machine, and they could tweak and create whatever story they want, whatever footage you provide for them. So I'm going to say that, but I'm also going to say this. When she was on the phone with her mama, and that little smart ass daughter of hers was saying off the wall stuff. So she doesn't even like you. She talks bad about you all the time. I'm like, I don't care if that is banter. Tia, if you don't have this type of relationship with your daughter where you tell her you guys have to be loyal to each other in public, and then you can do whatever you want in private, you setting yourself up for a disaster. Because I was watching the body language in this scene that's coming up with the girls and their dad, and I was like, something don't seem right about this dynamic. There seems to be some sort of detachment here. So yeah, them damn kids, Tia, them damn kids, better yoke them up. Because I have a cool relationship with my daughter, you know, with it just being her and I spare no expense on, you know, letting her know that I'm home and she could be free with me. But I also let her ass know I'm not the 1, 2, or 3. So if you think you're going to go there with me, wait and see, okay? I had to get nuts with my daughter. You know, just like Tia said earlier in the season, you got to show them that you're marginally insane. Yeah, I didn't see any of that in last night's episode. So, yeah. That was a lot, because that scene bothered me. I did not like the body language her daughter was giving off in that scene. I said, oh no. And like the sense of entitlement. Now, yes, they're at that tender tween age, but still. All right, then we get to my girl Monique. Okay, so let me explain why I like Monique, okay? Because like I said, Monique is a polarizing character, all right? She's a polarizing person. You either love her or you hate her. Monique came into season 2. She was replacing Katie Rost, right? When Monique came in, we all could see that there was like jealousy from certain people, okay? And there was a hazing of some sort just to test her. And Monique was not standing for it from anybody. Now, she's had some seasons where, you know, she was kind of questionable. Like season 3, I wouldn't say was her best season. But coming in, she made her mark and did not waver. In fact, she was challenged by Queen Bee Giselle. And in that scene, during the challenge, Monique set her ass straight. Giselle tried to call her out and say, "Oh, you don't have a home?" Because, that was the story. Monique is moving to Maryland and, trying to find a house in Potomac. So Giselle tried to shade her. This was season 2. And said, "Oh, you don't have a home?" Monique came back like, "I have 4 homes." And yes, I fell in love with her after that. Because I could tell she didn't take any mess. And I learned after that she doesn't. Now, like I said, she didn't have some good seasons, but people that are human and understand certain personalities and circumstances and how certain environments can trigger you, we give grace. Okay, so I'm going to be done with that disclaimer. Now, Monique. So we have Ashley is the person that is going to reintroduce Monique into the fold, because Monique ended up leaving season 5 after the fight. I don't give Ashley a lot of things, but there are some things that I appreciate Ashley for. Her also being someone that knows how to get a chick off her, because she does some stuff that annoys you, but when you think you got to punk her, Ashley will not let you punk her, veteran or not. And then she also has been loyal to Monique throughout all of it. You have people who are on 2 different sides when it came down to that fight with Candace and Monique. But what Ashley said, and I totally agree with this, is we should not basically like cast her out and judge her overarching character off of that one situation, because she's a lot more than just a fighter that snapped, right? There was a lot of buildup in that, and I could see it. I know she was probably not really happy in her marriage during that time. The pressure of the show was probably starting to get to her. She had just had Chase, her youngest son. So I'm going to even say within that year, she probably was dealing with postpartum, because Chase was born in, I think, October or November of 2018. That fight happened in October of 2019. So I have a psych degree, so I tend to look at certain things, like I assess them like really, really in depth. And especially when I have like a soft spot for something. It's not that I'm being biased. It's just maybe my passion is a little bit more geared towards the direction of whatever that is. But yeah, like I said, I'm human and I get it. And Monique will forever have a soft place in my heart. So Monique, if you ever happen to stumble across this video, you got to support her, girl. Fellow air sign. You're a Libra, I'm a Gemini. We here. All right, so Ashley's reintroducing her, and I'm loving this earthy alternative girl vibe that Monique's got going on right now. Like, she never got it wrong for me. I would say out of all the girls, she has always been the most prettiest. Her hair was always on point. She also rocked braids really good. She rocked a lot of Afrocentric looks. Like, if you look at her confessionals from like the past seasons, she always rocked like her natural hair, or maybe she threw in like some extensions and she had bust downs, but she would do afros, braids, locks, and now she's got, or faux locks, and now she's got locks. So she looks so cute. So Ashley's talking about how they met almost 9 years ago, and it was love at first sight, and they had some lapses in their friendship. We did see that because they did fall out for a little bit. And then we go to Monique, and Monique's in her confessional saying how she's about 300 pounds lighter. Didn't really like that because she was throwing a jab at Chris, and I got a soft spot for them tall, juicy dudes. So. But, and I didn't watch the other show she was on, so I didn't get to see how their marriage played out. But I have watched interviews with Monique talking about their marriage, and I've seen lives. And, yeah, towards the end, there was no trust, and I could tell Chris was just starting to get to her because he had one way of thinking and did not want to change in the marriage or budge. He was one of those men. He figured, I'm paying all the bills, you yield to me type of thing. And a woman like Monique, especially if you're an air sign woman, it's not going to work. we require partnership, not dictatorship. So, yeah, it may have lasted for a little bit, but that was going to get old. All right. Anyway, so Monique spoke about how now her friend circle, it went from a circle to a period. So now she's a little bit more at peace, more happy. Ashley asks her if she's dating anybody, and she says no, she's focused on herself. And I definitely see the lightness. I could see it in her energy, her aura, her skin, everything. She is glowing. They talked about their kids, and I was just like, wow, because I remember the kids. I remember Milani was 1 when Monique came onto the show. Milani's 10. So Milani's the same age as my daughter. And then Chase he was born in 2018. So what, Chase is about 7. And Chris Jr., how old was Chris when they came on the show? I think Chris Jr. was between 4 and 6, so he's probably a 12, 13-year-old. So yeah, like her kids, and she said Chris Jr. is 5'10", he's taller than her. Well, his dad is, I think what, Chris Samuels was 6'7", 6'8". So yeah, Monique's in a good place. They're showing off the house. She done bought her a house and fixed it up, and it just, like I said, Monique, beautiful aesthetic style, even in her home. Everything is just coordinated, open floor plan. Like she's got, her backyard is even nice. Looks real earthy but modern. It's just, I don't know if y'all can't tell by now, but I love me some Monique. I love her. There are some housewives in the housewife universe that I go up for, okay? Karen Huger's one of them. Wendy Osefo, she's teetering, but she's also one of them. Monique, as you can hear, is one of them. When you go to Atlanta, at one point it was Phaedra, but I would say more so Cynthia is kind of like my favorite, and then maybe Nene comes in there. Like they all have a little bit of something they offer on Atlanta, so I really don't have a favorite on Atlanta. Beverly Hills, it was Garcelle. Before Garcelle, it was Carlton. Because I love an edgy chick. But now it's my Bozema. I love her. And back to Potomac, Monique. I go up for her. So I'll try not to be biased. But yeah, I got love for Monique. I like her energy and her spirit. But anyway, so like I said, she's more focused on her. She said the fight actually pushed her to do a little bit more healing. So she's been on this healing journey, this spiritual growth, and she untapped a lot of trauma that she was harboring, which probably contributed to her being triggered and responding the way that she did. Because I do remember her talking about in one of her interviews how her dad used to like put his hand in her face and talk to her. And I know she's spoken about like fights and stuff that she got into when she was growing up. And she grew up in Jersey, if I'm not mistaken. So a rougher part of the neighborhoods, kind of a mix. And then she's a cute girl, and she's small because Monique is skinny. And then her other siblings, like she's got a sister that's a little thicker, and then she's got a brother. So yeah, I could see how life could harden you, even if you're the prettiest, and then you're like a pressure cooker one day and you just snap. So I'm glad that she did take the time out to reflect and make the changes that she needed to make so that she could be the breath of fresh air that we saw on our screen. So welcome back, Monique. All right. So, of course, Monique is a shade assassin. She can read you. You know, she is an air sign, Aquarius, Libra, Geminis. We're like Lady Thanos's. If you piss us off, just don't piss us off, okay? Like, just don't, because we can say, and I have been guilty of this, we will read you for filth, but because air signs are intelligent and we data collect and people don't expect it a lot of times, especially the women, when D-Day happens, if you have been poking at us and we explode, atomic bomb. And that's what happened in the season 5 in the reunion. Like, gosh, oh, that binder. If you have not watched the season 5 reunion for Potomac, you don't even have to watch the whole reunion because it was like 3 episodes. At minimum, watch episode 1 and how Monique tapped into that binder and drugged Giselle. And then Karen came in with the assist. Is Jamal coming? And that is probably one of the best reads that has ever happened in the Bravo universe with the Housewives. If not the best, it's up there top 3. Not 5, not 10, 3. Lethal. Had Giselle gagged. And from what I heard, producers protected her because Giselle went off. Had a freaking emotional breakdown after Monique just got her together. So Monique is a very layered individual. God, I didn't spend like 15 minutes almost talking about Monique. My bad. There's a lot more that happened. So okay, back to this scene. This is a lot of scenes. So Ashley's talking to Monique about, you know, what's been going on because they're catching up, and then Ashley tells her how her and Giselle started that clothing line, and then Monique, why would you start a clothing line with her? Because it's Giselle, like I said, I can count on one hand how many times she's gotten it right in the last 10 years she's been on the show. She's not the best dresser. They actually flash back to a scene in season 5 when Karen's making fun of Giselle's way of dressing. She's like, she's chummy with Monique. Let's hope that her fashion doesn't rub off on her because the girl can't dress. Thank God she's a good looking woman. And then I thought that too when I was thinking back to that scene. I said, well, at least her face looked good because she had on this I guess leotard or workout outfit with some bamboo earrings. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail. Face was pretty, but yeah, she did look a hot mess. All right, so Monique says how she hasn't talked to Wendy because these are the people that are relevant to this season. That's what they're talking about. So they're talking about Wendy, then they talk about Candace. Not Candace, Karen. And then Monique says how she did speak to Karen before everything happened when Karen got sentenced, and she said, you know, throughout them talking to each other leading up to that, she kind of knew Karen was going to go to jail. And Ashley said, we all did. I don't know how you knew, Ashley. Were you even talking to her like that? But I mean, there was evidence, so I'll give Ashley that. Okay, I'll take that back. And then she says, oh, so then Ashley takes an opportunity to talk about the newbies, and then she brings up Stacy. She says Stacy says a lot of things that don't align. Her actions and her words don't align. And I was thinking, like, Ashley, stop. Then she says, that she's going to, she invited her to Pride, and then she tells her that Giselle is going to be there and if she's okay. And then, you know, Monique's like, I'm good as long as she's good and there's not going to be anything. Then they flash back to that reunion I was telling you about, season 5, and how Monique is just effortlessly, is this his number? 401, blah, blah, blah. Just just watch it. Chef's kiss. All right, so then we get to the next scene. I'm sorry, y'all spent so much time on that. We're like 23 minutes in. I promise I'll try to be quick with these next scenes. So we've got Wendy at the house. They're renovating. Eddie is preparing for, I guess, a pop-up show. So they go to the garage and they're like gathering things together and they're just talking. And honestly, this scene made me really uncomfortable because of everything that's come out about Wendy. And then there was even some information released recently about their social media accounts, emails, banks, everything being seized for investigation. And I'm just like, God. So I just honestly, I didn't take a lot of notes on, like, you know, the house itself and the renovation process because I just didn't feel right in my spirit. I was like, it saddens me, like what she's going through and then how everything is gonna play out. But all right, so they're talking, and then Wendy tells Eddie how her dad didn't call her biological father for her birthday, and it made her sad because I guess they have like a group chat and her dad is a part of that group chat. So this is her family, like a WhatsApp, all of her family in Nigeria. She hasn't seen her father in 20 years, by the way. There was a group chat and the dad is wishing an uncle happy birthday, and his birthday is within days of Wendy's, and then nothing for her. So she said that kind of bothered her. And then she talks about how, you know, she didn't grow up with her dad. He didn't raise her. And because her mother raised her in love and so much love, she never felt the void of not having her biological father. So I'll give her mom that, because that's not an easy feat. That's actually my goal. Like, I want to get remarried. I'm a widow. Y'all, if you know, you know. But at the same time, I also want peace and happiness for my daughter, and peace and happiness for myself. So my mission, whether I get remarried or not, is to raise her in love and be happy. And so the fact that she said that, I was like, okay, that's good, because that's the security you give your child, so that they don't feel, the effects of the have-nots. And I actually read Wendy's book too. She talked about how her mother was kind of like her champion when she was in school. So anywho, she says also that she had a good relationship with her stepfather, so that kind of helped too. She had that supplemental father. All right, and then we go to Stacy now, and I'm gonna go back and forth because these scenes kind of feed off of each other. So we go to Stacy. She's shooting for her cannabis gummies line titled Shio, and she's telling us in the confessionals that she got a DNA test, found out that she had a lot of Nigerian blood in her. Girl, probably a lot of us do. And so she feels an affinity towards her Nigerian roots. And Shio is a Yoruba word for happy. So that's why she chose to use it. And I like Stacy, but it ain't looking good. I mean, she would have gotten better. For me, I would have been more of a believer that the intention wasn't to copy if she would have maybe named it Spacey Stacy. But to replicate the idea and then use a name connected with the culture of a castmate that has also started a line like that, it does look suspicious. Like, Stacy, you got to give me a little more to work with. All right, so like I said, it intercuts. These scenes feed off of each other. So we have we're back with Wendy and Eddie, and they're talking about Stacy developing her line, and they're talking about how first it went from bring Eddie out to now I got a cannabis line. And so Wendy jokingly tells Eddie, to celebrate and congratulate Stacy on her brand, we should come up with a strain, a commemorative strain, I think she said, a special strain. What would you call it? And then Eddie was like, I don't know, copycat? And I was just like, oh gosh, we will see the true intentions towards the end. I know they're providing a show for us, but like I said, Stacy, this ain't looking too good. All right, so then we go back to Stacy. Stacy has finished off, I guess, the first sets of photos, and then Ashley FaceTimes her. And then she tells Ashley over the phone, she's like, did you hear about my cannabis line? And Ashley's like, I know now. Ashley's dumbfounded like all of us. And like I said, I don't give Ashley a lot, but I'll give her this. She's like, the elevator doesn't go all the way to the top. You were asked this question at the reunion. Why didn't you just come clean? And that's what I said last week. It's like, I get it. Stacey, you don't owe anybody anything, right? But you also don't have to lie to kick it. So when asked directly something like a pointed question, this is not a vague question. This is not an opaque question. This is not a question veering to the side. It's a direct question. Are you starting your own cannabis line? You could have just said yes, or it's in the works, or I talked about it and I don't know yet. But to blatantly say no and then come out the next season doing this, I'll give her, it may be on purpose so that she can drive a little drama. But if it's not on purpose, it does look a little weird. It does. But I'm going to give grace where I can, benefit of the doubt, and time to see how this all turns out. That's all I can do. But yeah, I wasn't feeling that. Because like I said, I do me. If I can't be me in a group and be truthful, show or not, the show I'm going to give you is authenticity. So I would give you a clever retort like, if I was asked that at the reunion, I would say, I wasn't, but I am now. Thank you for the idea. That way, that's me kind of like smacking you in the face with my truth, but also being in denial about it. You get what I'm saying? It's like there's just methods to do it, but methods on how to do it, ways to do it. Anyway, back to the scene. So I put there, yeah, Ashley, I get it. All right, so next scene, we got Angel and her sister going to get, I think it was some sort of like Italian ice or some sort of ice with like fruit on top. Her sister Ingrid is 12 years older than her. My sister and I are actually 10 and a half years apart. So I have an older sister. Her name is Jamie. Shout out to you, Jamie, if you ever watch this. She always calls me her baby. And then I have a younger sister, Sadara. She is 2.5 years younger than me. So Sadara and I are like the middle child duo. But when it comes to my older sister, it took me a while to get to a point where I had to tell her, you can't mother me anymore. You know, because my life experience has shrank that age gap. And that's exactly what Angel said. Like over time, the age gap kind of became null and void because the more life she's lived, the more she can relate to her older sister. So I was like, okay, I get that, because those age gap like siblings, whew, that could be a lot. I pray that if God blesses me with my second child that I want, my daughter's probably going to be between the ages of 12 and 15 years older than her sibling, that they're able to have, if God willing, they're able to have a good relationship like that. Because that could put a lot on like that age gap. So anyway, all right, so she is telling her sister Ingrid, who is beautiful, by the way. You couldn't tell they were 12 years apart looking at them. Ingrid looks within the same age group as Angel. So she's telling her about the trip and how they were calling her a catfish. What I didn't like is, while I understand Angel's annoyance with the way Wendy laughed, how she shaded, like the degree of shade she gave to Wendy in this scene versus the degree of shade she gave to Giselle in this scene. Oh, she lost points for me. Because here's my thing. Wendy may have been laughing, but Giselle was the catalyst behind even bringing that up. She's the person that mentioned it. She's driving the story. So you should have more smoke for her. And I'm seeing the comments online what people are saying. I mean, Angel, let's not play stupid. You are light-skinned. Are you a colorist? Or are you like fearing that big sister almighty? I thought you weren't a rookie woman. I thought hell hath no fury like an angel scorned. Looks to me like you picking on the little guy. You need to be going after Giselle. Again, this is why we liked Monique, because Monique wasn't playing that shit. she ain't gonna be attacking somebody else because she can't get to the big dog. Now, some people say she did that later, but her inaugural season, she didn't do that. So Angel's losing me on this. I didn't like that. I didn't like the things that she said about Wendy. She said Wendy had asshole lips and Forest Whitaker eyes. I didn't like the inference. So yeah, I'm gonna need to see some cleanup from that. Then Ingrid said that maybe they're jealous of Angel because of some perceived hierarchy they have in their mind. And then Ingrid mentioned, oh, well, don't you live near the water? And then they show a map of where everyone lives, and Angel is the only one that's like right off the Potomac River. But aren't you renting? So it doesn't even matter. It doesn't fucking matter. You paying somebody else's mortgage. So if you perceive that as a threat, no, absolutely not. Anyway, that was the end of that scene. I didn't like that one. So then we get to Tia and her family. Now this scene, I was paying attention to the body language between the dad and the girls, okay? So, before we get into that though, them damn kids, Tia, her son, so she's got the twins sitting at the island and they're doing homework. Well, one's doing homework. The son's on his iPad. She's asking him if he's going to do his homework. He has his iPad. He's like ignoring her. She tries to take the iPad. This little motherfucker snatched it back. Then she tried to take it again. This little motherfucker snatched it again. I said, oh no, abso-freaking-lutely not. Angel needs to either sit down and have a discussion with these kids about camera behavior. I mean, keep it real. Kids be authentic. But if that's them being authentic, then you need to stick your foot in their ass, because this whole marginally insane narrative that you spoke about earlier in the season, yeah, I ain't seeing any of that. They don't seem to be scared of you at all. So that's why I was meaning by there's some sort of divide. It's not matching up to what she said as far as like her sternness and her husband being the soft parent. Now the dad being the soft parent, I don't know what went on, but here goes. So she's asking about the birthday party that Alexis had while Tia was in Nevis. Apparently, some little boy that didn't get invited doxed their address on social media, so more kids showed up. It turned into a freaking disaster. One kid threw up in her room. One kid was jumping on a car. Like, Alexis had to call the police 5 times, okay? Now, I'm thinking, why you gotta call the police 5 times if the dad was there? Because apparently the dad was there. He had everything under control, right? Nah, bullshit. That dad was not at that house. And this is how I have a feeling that is substantiated by this body language. I was watching, right, when they were talking about the fight. Not the fight, the party. So, as they're describing it, Tia's asking questions, right? So then when the kid being on the car comment came up, the dad was like, no, I don't remember that. That didn't happen. And then the daughter said, you weren't even here. Watch the dad's body language. He looked over at her like, girl, you blowing our cover. And I was like, wow. So I don't know, man. There's something to that family. We gonna see them damn girls, though. I just hope they just have strong personalities and they're just not little snots. Because I was not entertained or impressed by the way they were talking to their parents and the mood and the attitude. I did not like it. I did not like that little boy snatching that iPad. No, abso-fucking-lutely not. Sorry. Pardon my French. And I only say that because, like I said, if you follow me, you've heard me speak on the whole soft parenting dynamic. However, discipline is a must. Teaching them order is a must. Teaching them life lessons is a must. So those conversations, those lectures, they have to be drilled into them about their values, their morals, integrity, character, all of that has to be driven into them. And sometimes gentle parenting, if it's not landing, you do have to become a little bit more corporal and show them you don't give a fuck. Because if you don't, society and trouble will teach them. You don't want to get a call from a police officer one day correcting something that could have been stopped in childhood. My daughter 10, and I'd already told her, I'm not bailing you out if you go to jail. So I'm already programming her before she goes to middle school. This is what I expect. And again, I'm a gentle parent, but I'm real with her because it's just her and I cannot spare her to be naive. I can't. So yeah, I did not like that. But anyway, so Giselle, she is driving to the airport to head to Atlanta, because her dad lived here and his widow lives here, and what she's having to do is petition the widow over her dad's will, because I guess the widow brought in a will that Giselle was not privy to. Now, I'm kind of split on this. So I understand that Giselle feels like her dad would have left her and her daughter's stuff in the will, like left the estate or whatever to them. But Giselle, you have siblings, so I don't understand why you would think that unless your dad told you that, right? 2, if your dad told you that, you, as the beneficiary or the person that was going to be over the trust or the will or whatever, should have gotten that in writing. You should have had copies of all of this stuff. So I don't know if Pops just said that to you to appease you, or if maybe you interpreted it wrong. I don't know. But my thing is if this was supposed to happen, you should have had a copy of that will. Because as his wife, I don't agree with if that's what she did, but you don't know what was discussed between them because, quite frankly, he married that woman. He was devoted to her. So if he did decide to not leave you anything and leave it to her, so be it. But the fact that you didn't have the document to prove that this is where I'm torn. So I mean, I hope it, if it does end up being a fight, I hope it works out the way that it's supposed to work out. But this one, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. All right, so we get to Kiarna, scene with her and Greg. I actually enjoyed this scene. So they're at Greg's house. I guess this was the house they were designing last year that they were supposed to move into together. And they were heading to, I'm gonna say it, what Killer Bees? Killer Bees? A Wu-Tang concert. Yes. So I went to the Kendrick Lamar tour, and the Wu-Tang concert was another one I went to. I actually went to the Wu-Tang and Run the Jewels concert in San Diego because that's where I used to live, and I wanted to spend my birthday out there. The concert was June 21st at Pachanga. So that Pachanga stadium is off of Sports Arena Boulevard and Rosecrans over there, in the Point Loma area. And it was epic. So when she said they were going, because I like to pay attention to editing, I checked and I wanted to see, like, when did they go in Baltimore? So it kicked off in Baltimore June 6th. So it made sense. It aligned with the timeline because Wendy's birthday is May 21st, and they were in Nevis just recently. So them coming back, I just wanted to see if there was some some good editing. Like, I wanted to see if they were really carrying the timeline, because they'll do that. They'll gather footage and then they'll just place it here, and if you're not paying attention to the dates or when things happen, you can get tricked and they create a whole story. So I was like, let me see if what day they going to this. But that was cool. They were going to a Wu-Tang concert. Kiarna, I can excuse your behaviors, but I cannot excuse you only knowing one song by Wu-Tang. How the fuck can you not know more than one song? I mean, if anything, that first album had bops for days. Okay? Cream is not the only one. Protect Your Neck. Gravel Pit. Shame on a Nigga. I mean, come on, girl. Get into it. I was so disappointed. I said, girl, no. But there are some girls that don't know Wu-Tang, so it is what it is. But, all right, so they were talking about, like, their dynamic and where they are in their relationship. And she said that therapy is really working for them. And they flash back to a therapy scene where Greg is telling the therapist that they're in the process of purchasing her condo, so that the condo could be, like, I guess, an escape for them as a couple. And then they can go back to the home front. I was kind of split on this because I was like, okay, that's good if the intention is long term and you do plan on marrying her, because there still has to be that compromise. I just hope that they're not just doing this to work on Greg's timeline and Kiarna has to sacrifice what she wants so that he feels more comfortable. Now, Kiarna said this, and I was like, okay, well, maybe they are gonna honor what she wants, because she said that therapy has also helped them in their living situation come to an understanding and her have more security in their relationship and what the end game is. And that's all we really want, y'all. We really want, if you really want us to submit, to yield to your cause as a man, you have to be clear about where we are going. That is so funny that I'm now talking about this, because my ex, we're amicable now, so we chat here and there. And so he posted something on his Snapchat, and then I responded, and the song he had in the background, it was saying something about know your place or whatever. And so I told him, I was like, why are you, first of all, the video was on like 6 years ago. And I was like, why are you posting 6-year-old videos? Snapchat snitches. He said, because I want to. So then I was like, oh, you trying to show them that, when you're groomed, you clean up pretty good, you look cute. And he said, exactly. And so I said, I don't know. You like girls that, go after big things in life. And I don't know if they're going to be too keen to the lyrics of knowing your place or whatever, right? This fool going to come back and say, he said, well, you read too much into it. It's about not, walking over my path and I won't overstep yours. Then this fool going to say, you know, man was, the world was created for man. The man is supposed to lead. You got to let the man lead. And I knew it. I was like, oh, here he go, coming back with his BS on me. And he was younger than me. So I know it's just a battle of, and we both were Gemini. So it was like, whoo, it's just a battle of will and egos. So I was like, no, it just depends on the man. What kind of man is leading? Smart women don't follow men blindly. Because the man is leading more than his family. I mean, more than himself. He's leading his family. So anywho, I just thought back to that conversation he and I had today as I was talking about Greg and Kiarna, because that's what she said she needed. She needed that assurance to know where they were going, and that would give her more security. It's the same thing I was trying to communicate to my ex, but because we were both freaking crazy, our communication just did not gel well, So, Ken, I hope you find your match, because I could tell you do want good things in life, and you do have certain beliefs that don't align with a lot of women, but you'll find your person that's willing to submit to you and give you everything you want. All right. So yeah, I like I said, I liked seeing that. And then they even said, as far as like, because, to metaphorically tie what they're doing to him building his house, she said, if you had to like put our relationship together as you're building a house, what would you say are the most important things? He said communication. I totally agree with that. Not just talking, but understanding each other as well. The comprehension, the alignment. Communication just goes more than just verbios. It's an energy in that relationship. So definitely agree with that. And then she said support. I agree with that too, because she said they're both busy, they're entrepreneurs, and you do want that person that's going to understand your grind and your hustle and be supportive of you. I definitely, as I usher into dating in my 40s now, because I'm in a whole different mindset. In my 20s, I was a single free girl, driving freaking Nissan Versa, living in a freaking a crash pad studio apartment, living check to check, bartending and working out and getting drunk. I had no responsibilities. Now I'm a lot more lived and seasoned. I've gone through some stuff. I'm 41 and I have assets, and then I have a child. And then I've lived, I've grown. So you definitely require different things at different stages in your life when you're in relationships. So I could tell that therapy was working for them. And so while I also don't give Kiarna a lot, I will give her and Greg this. I like their love story. I do. I just hope that they both end up getting what they want out of the relationship. And ain't nothing like chocolate love. That was another thing. I was looking at both of them. I was like, they're actually cute together. They are a pretty couple. Like, people talk about Greg and say he's ugly. No, Greg is cute. Nerdy, kind of, squarish. I like that. I like a square brother. All brothers ain't got to be hard. So, shout out to y'all. Good luck to y'all, Kiarna and Greg. All right, so next scene, we got Wendy and Stacy. They meet up for lunch, walk in, similar color, similar hairstyle, straight bust down. They had on like this coral color. Both look good, both chocolate skin. Wendy told Stacy she should have wore that dress instead of her milkmaid dress when they had horror night for Jossie's bachelorette party, because that dress was more slutty because her high beams were on. I guess it was cold. And then Stacy was like, "Is this a hoe dress?" And then Wendy, she said in the confessional, "I'm in a season in my life where I like to be around things that aren't so serious." So that is how she is not getting so upset with Stacy, is that she doesn't take Stacy serious, because Stacy's not that serious. Even in this copycat thing, Wendy's like taking it in stride. Now, she was asking questions, trying to figure out, where did the inspiration come from this? Why are you doing this? Stacy's telling her what the name is and how she got her DNA test, and she's Nigerian. She was like, "You're my Nigerian sister." And then Wendy's laughing. Like, It was a good scene. They were making light of a situation. And it's like, I guess us fans want more drama to come out of it, but I like the way they're handling it. You know, at the end of the day, they're both adults. They both are entrepreneurial in spirit, and there is no monopoly on the cannabis line. So there's that. And they like I said, they seem to be, you know, Wendy's taking it in stride. Stacy's like, you know, I'm doing this. I don't have flowers, but I have my gummies, so it's a light launch. Not quite in comparison yet with Happy Eddie, so there is that. And then it was cute. They ended the scene with Wendy like saying, you know, she's like, oh well, she's copying. So Wendy copies Stacy with her order. Stacy orders octopus and branzino, and then Wendy's like, no, I want octopus and branzino. So that was cute the way they ended it. It was because Wendy's making fun of the situation. All right, so then we got a quick scene with Giselle in Atlanta. Her daughter Angel picks her up, I guess, from the courthouse. Angel is going to Spelman, which is the college my daughter wants to go to. I took her on a college tour in March, and she's like super sold on it. But then her club took her on a college tour to Clark, Atlanta, and my daughter's like, oh, this is co-ed. I might consider it. Like, girl, I thought you wanted to go to Spelman because it was all girls. Well, she's 10, so. Anywho, y'all know me and my side notes. Read the description of my channel, okay? Neurodivergent diva. Okay, so we gonna go on a journey. I'm long-winded, but I promise you will understand what I was talking about at the end of the recap. All right, anyway. So they're talking about, you know, what happened, and Giselle's just saying she just wants to get to a place where she can be at peace and be happy about everything. And I want the same for you, Giselle, because it can't be fun fighting for what you feel is owed to you by your father and his legacy after the fact. Your dad should have planned, and you guys should have set it up more, but that's just me. All right, so then they go to another scene now. They're at Jossie's wedding. They didn't really spend a lot of time at this wedding. I think they gave her wedding maybe 3 minutes of screen time. Stacy, again, you ain't looking too good. So she says in her confessional she was able to rearrange her launch and everything to attend this wedding, right? Now remember, a couple episodes ago, that same launch was the reason she told Jossie she couldn't be a bridesmaid, okay? Keep up. We're getting somewhere. Then Ashley says in her confessional, now that Wendy and her were going to the wedding, all of a sudden, Stacy makes room to attend Jossie's wedding. There may be something to that. I just hope it's not. I hope it's not. And so they show the wedding. Jossie shows that he upgraded her ring to 4 carats. Little gaudy for me. This is my engagement ring that my husband got for me. And so, yeah, simple clay dot ring, Alexandrite, black diamonds, white gold. You don't need a lot. So if my future husband, you watch this, I don't need gaudy, but I definitely need creative. And that's what he did, okay? I don't need 4 carats or $4 million ring, but I definitely need you to put your heart, soul, and mind into it. Anyway, so so they're looking at the series of events, the timeline of the wedding. Wedding's going to be about 2 hours. They have to leave because they have to catch a flight so that they can go to World Pride because Ashley invited them all, which is 18 hours later after this scene. So they show them exchanging their vows and, you know, and they're all crying. It's emotional. Weddings are always emotional. And then they go to Pride Day, which is the next scene. So I guess they're all meeting up before they go on the float that Ashley had designed for Pride, which I thought that was cool. Ashley is in her diva bag. Like, they showed a scene of her having that float design and she had on a denim suit with her little wig. I guess Ashley is the mini grande dame because I swear a lot of her look she's going after reminds me a little bit of Karen. I'm like, okay, not really creative, but anyway. All right, so anywho, so they all meet up at the bar. Everybody's walking in one by one. Ashley walks in her drag form. They get close-ups to her as she's walking on the street into the bar. She's got this grill in her mouth. And her drag name is Ash Top. I mean, she looked alright, but that ain't really my type. I don't really go for the lighter, petite, scrawny boy. I like men with a little meat on their bones. So so she gives all of the women their own drag name, and she has t-shirts made for them with their respective drag names. If you look at my thumbnail, I took a snippet of that scene when she's telling the ladies at the bar that she's got drag names for them. Tia's not in that scene, but Giselle, Wendy, Stacy, Angel, and there was 5 people. Okay. Angel, Wendy, Stacy, Giselle, Kiarna. So all their faces, except for Giselle's and Wendy's, looked worried because they know Ashley is shady as hell. Wendy's the only one smiling. Giselle's looking indifferent. So I wanted to use that because I said that couldn't describe their relationship with Ashley more than like I said, body language is a lot, and they all looking at her like this scandalous asshole. What she got up her sleeve? We can't trust her, given what she's been doing so far in the season. But she actually gave them some pretty good names, so I took notes. All right, so Angel's drag name, because she's a curvy girl, is all over her tits. So Oliver, her tits. Wendy, to honor the fact that she's got 4 degrees. Hers is degrees, D's nuts. Stacy, I didn't get this, but I think it maybe has something to do with maybe a German term that I'm just not familiar with. Because she said, at first I thought it was licking something, but then she said, it's lick her hose in. I was like, okay. And then Tia, she got the proper puss popper as her name. You got Giselle serving jizz. And Kiarna's was cum injector because she is she does Botox and all that. So I thought those were pretty cute. I like drag names because you can get super like spicy with them if you want. They made a comment about Giselle's daughter Grace being there, and who cares? Grace is 21 years old. If she ain't heard this already, something's wrong. Or you living in denial. Girl's in college, okay? And let's not forget, like I said, I didn't watch the seasons before, but apparently Giselle's daughters likes to have boys over at the house when she goes on vacation. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure she has done worse than what she heard in that bar, okay? Let's not even pretend. My daughter there. Girl, please. My daughter, I'm going to be telling her so much shit. She going to be mad. And she gets like that. My daughter's real coy. And I was like, oh no, God gave you the wrong mom if you think I'm going to be sugarcoating reality for you. Because I talk to her about everything. STDs, periods, you name it. Like I said, I'm trying my best to make sure this little girl knows what she needs to know so that she can successfully navigate in the world. So I was just like, please. Grace is there. Stop. All right. So then they've got some sound bites in the background to usher in my girl from all of her seasons. So, different things about the 4 homes, the different reads, the different things she said in the past. My girl walk in, boom, 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 boom. Walks right by Giselle, who's standing right there. Her hairstylist and friend Cal is standing next to her. Body language again. Watch this. So Giselle, as Monique is walking in, being theatrical or whatever, hyped. Giselle taps Cal on the shoulder. Okay. Monique hugs Cal. does not hug Giselle, who again is standing right next to her. Now, I don't know if Monique was just protecting her energy. That's what I think. I really do think that, because especially at this stage in her life, when you know you've had that much drama with somebody and you guys have not really spoken since, it could come off as you slighting them and being shady, or it could just be you protecting your energy and trying to read the room and see what it's like, right? And so she's reading the room. And I said, yeah, not sliding. Because I didn't take it that way. I take it you protecting your energy until you can fill out the other person. They all embrace her. And then even Giselle. Giselle says, hi, Monique. Hugs her. And I was like, okay, we getting somewhere. She says in her confessional, Giselle, Monique has been somebody that she's thought about over the years. And she found out about her divorce. And she's really curious to see what she's been like since the divorce. Now, I didn't like that at first. And I'm going to tell you why I didn't like it. Because I've noticed the pattern with Giselle. And I don't like that Giselle feels like she can bond better with women who are separating, right? Why couldn't you bond with her when she was happily married or married? And you know, even with the angel thing, talking about how she always speaks about her husband. Giselle, sorry, there are women who actually get lucky in their choice of a husband. It doesn't always have to be doom and gloom, right? You don't have to bask in that. So I didn't like that she felt, now I want to bond with her that now that she's divorcing. I don't like chicks like that. I don't. But maybe Giselle, if she picks up on, I guess, a toxic relationship. No, I can't even give her that. No. I'm finding a pattern that you just like people to be miserable and single. I ain't liking it. Or single, because Monique's not miserable. So yeah, that was not lost on me. That she said that she's interested to bond with her and get to know her more in this stage of her life. Watch chicks like that. All right, so she says that Monique, I guess during that marriage, didn't seem authentic. And I was like, what didn't seem authentic about her? Maybe she might have been putting on airs, not so much in relation to the marriage, but maybe in relation to trying to merge with the group. You know, it's not the easiest. So, you know, if you got a guard up, you're not going to necessarily be receptive to that person's energy. So that's what I said, what's not real about it? Maybe you weren't the real one. Ever thought of that? All right, so then Monique also gets a drag name. And Ashley said, and this was also a soundbite that played, that she went over to her house and Monique had a lot of animals. And Monique does like animals. Like she had a bird, T'Challa, that we all loved. She's got her new dog, Milo, who is a beautiful brindle pit bull, I believe. And then I don't know if she's got cats or whatever, but anywho, so the nickname she gave her was, instead of Dr. Doolittle, it's Dr. Do It A Lot. I was like, I like these, Ashley. I wonder if she put them in like some sort of like processor or like some sort of generator or something, because I was like, there's no way. Or maybe because Ashley's she's not an idiot. I can see her cleverly coming up with these names. So they were cool. So then credits start rolling in, and they're all talking, and they're all, you know, embracing Monique, trying to get to know her and, you know, saying their hellos. Kiarna awkwardly comes in, and this is so staged by Giselle, because like I said, I've been watching these shows since I was a 23-year-old girl. I'm a 41-year-old woman now, so nothing freaking surprises me. So I'm picking up that Giselle is a puppet with Kiarna. That's just what I'm getting. Because the way she was bringing up the drama for Monique, right? And even Monique was looking at her like, girl. So she's like, oh, Monique, do you know Stacy? Well, she said she sees you around in town, right? And the way she's doing it again, it's no flow. It's awkward as hell. Everybody looking like that's not what was said. So then Giselle comes in to kind of help her out. Oh no, she wasn't around with Monique. She was around with Chris. And she said, "Oh, that's right, Kiana. That's right, Chris. Oh yeah, she used to date your husband, right? That's your ex-husband." And then Monique, you look at Monique's face. Monique's like, okay, yeah, and and then it to be continues. So man, oh man. I hope they don't try to like manufacture drama between Stacy and Monique, because that's sad, especially over something that's not even relevant. These are grown ass women. Monique is, I think, 41 or 42, same age as me. And Stacy is 53. And Monique is divorced from Chris. Stacy is dating her husband, her ex-husband again. And they both seem to be at peaceful places in their life. So let's not try to make this a thing, because it's really not a thing. But that just goes to show how far they think they need to go to produce a show for us. Like I said, they're tailoring to this new audience, man. And us veterans, us aunties that's been watching since we were young girls, we don't need that shit. So cut it out, okay? All right. So I'm going to conclude. That was the episode. I did not say this earlier. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Y'all know the rules. Y'all know. And if you notice, I have changed the name of my channel. It's just because I'm also on my spiritual transition. So I'm embracing this new stage in my life. It went from Mrs. D Green to now it's just D Green 2.0. So now you are officially talking to D Green 2.0. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with your girl D Green 2.0's channel. And hit that notification bell if you do subscribe, so that way you are notified whenever I upload a video. Now, with that being said, I am going to leave you. Peace and blessings, and I hope you guys have a fabulous rest of the week, okay? All right. God bless you. Bye.